Welcome to another episode of Good Things Brings, your official Good Things Festival series, chatting with some of the amazing artists ahead of the festivities kicking off this December. I am Tiana Speter, and for today's episode, I am joined by an insanely talented human who will be heading down under for Good Things later this year. You may know him for his prowess behind the kit for Garbage, and also as someone with a defining fingerprint on the music landscape in general. It's, of course, Butch Vig. Butch, welcome. Thank you so much for having a chat today.
Tiana, thank you so much for having me. I just got out of a garbage rehearsal and we're gearing up for a North American tour, but we are super, super psyched to be coming to Australia in December to play the Good Things Festival.
It is so exciting. You're going to be very, very busy between then and now and going to have a lot of live sharpening of your skills. Not that you need it, but there's going to be a lot of shows, I believe, ahead of this Australian run. How many shows are we ticking off before you get here?
Oh man, I think we're doing about 40 plus shows in North America, maybe close to 44 between US, Canada, and Mexico. But we have a week off mid-November, and then we are heading down to Australia. And I'm sort of looking at it as like a rock and roll vacation because I love coming to Australia. We haven't been there for probably almost 10 years, maybe 9 or 10 years. And
Yeah.
it's going to be great. So, I mean, of course, we have to play shows, but I'm looking at it as, like I said, as a rock and roll holiday. It's going to be awesome.
I love that. And like you said, it has been a little time since you've been here, but there's so much to celebrate in 2025 alone. Like, interestingly, Garbage is a band I've seen repeatedly on people's wish lists and predictions for Good Things Festival. So it has finally happened, which is awesome. But you're also going to have a killer new album out in the world when you come here. Let All That We Imagine Be the Light, which has already been just making waves everywhere. And people are so genuinely excited about what has been happening with that. But on the Australian front, there's a really long history with Australia, obviously stemming back to early touring days, Mushroom Records, Michael Gudinski, of course. But what stands out for you as a, like, not one to go in the memoirs necessarily, but an instant moment that springs to mind from a previous visit here, whether it was on stage, off stage, good, bad, hilarious, other?
Well, you brought up Michael Gudinski. I mean, R.I.P. Michael. He was such a force, and he was instrumental in signing us. He gave Garbage a green light to start a record before we even met Shirley, and it's the first place we got signed. The first place that I flew when we were making the album to do press. I'd never been to Australia before, and it was just great because there was such a buzz being there. And I remember that first tour. I did a whole day of press, or maybe 2 days of press, and Michael took me to see Jeff Buckley. And it was an incredible show. It was in a theater, and it was like everyone there, I swear to God, held their breath every time he sang. It was just so gorgeous. Um, but our fans in Australia have been there since day one in a way. You know, we have a great fan base there. We've played there a bunch of times, and I just feel like it's sort of for us going back to ground zero in a way to go there and play. And we're super psyched. By the time we play there in December, we're going to be a well-oiled rock machine. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, well, let's pivot to the new album then, because obviously it's been out in the world. It's album number 8 for Garbage. The resounding consensus has really praised, like, there's a lot of vulnerability in it and a lot of narratives that aren't afraid to challenge, like, a lot of topics, so socio-political, ageism, all that stuff. But I was personally really drawn to, like, this a real balance of optimism, but an actual call to action alongside, like, a lot of these heavier topics. Obviously nobody's first album rodeo by any means, but were the core ideas set in stone from day one about what you all ultimately wanted this album to be?
Well, I think we've realized at this point in our career that we are never going to get played in top 40 radio again. And part of that is ageism.
Mm.
Part of it is just, well, pop culture loves young, fresh blood. They're like vampires, right? And our blood is old and crusty, but in a way that's been liberating for us because we just write whatever we want. And since Not Your Kind of People and Strange Little Birds, we sort of write the music to fit Shirley's lyrics, and she's definitely the mouthpiece for the band. You know, we in Garbage all four of us share the same sensibilities, but she is the lead singer, and So we kind of write the music around what she's singing lyrically. And the interesting thing about Let All We Imagine Be the Light is that it started with just these jams. Uh, Shirley had had hip replacement surgery and she was not in the studio with us. So it was weird in a way that Duke and Steve and I jammed on music, not knowing anything that she would sing. And then we would send her these rough mixes of instrumentals, and she very quickly wrote lyrics and kind of blew our minds in a way because you can write some music and think, oh, it might sound like this or it might be like this. And then Shirley would take it into some completely other space lyrically and melodically. And then we, Duke and Steve and I, would just sort of change the music to sort of fit what she was doing. And I don't know many bands that do that, but
Right.
Garbage definitely operates that way. We try to sort of morph the puzzle of the arrangements of what we're doing to fit Shirley's sort of psyche and whatever she's singing, whatever's on her mind. And there's a lot on her mind. The world's a pretty messed up place right now.
Yeah. No, it's such an organic and authentic thing. And she's saying so much of what so many of us probably are thinking and or not realizing we're thinking. So it's incredible like how much it resonates and it always has, which is amazing. And now you're kind of throwing in more amazing songs into the mix for a set list. Obviously, like you said, you've just been rehearsing for a bunch of upcoming shows. Which of the new songs have you enjoyed potentially dusting out and preparing it for a live setting, and which one actually needed the most finessing to actually bring it to life so you can actually take it from the studio to the stage?
I mean, that's a good question. I'll tell you, Tiana, we played 4 or 5 songs today in rehearsal, and we've been playing No Future and Optimism for a while. That sounds pretty good. Um, we played today Chinese Fire Horse and Hold, which are we just started playing them on Monday. They're pretty rough sounding, but I think they're going to be great rockers. The tricky one so far is the closing track on the album, The Day I Met God. We played that a bunch of times today, and it's a bit of a head scratcher. We're gonna have to figure out how to sort of reinterpret it to play it live. If you know the song, it's a very epic song and a lot of dynamics. It starts out with this modular synth, and there's all these strings at the end. And Duke is trying to figure out all the parts on piano today. But I will say this: but we played it like 5 times in rehearsal. By the fifth time we played it today, it was starting to sound pretty epic. So we have another 10 days to rehearse or 11 days to rehearse. So hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of next week, it's going to sound killer.
Yeah, well, I feel like if anyone can pull it off, it's going to be you guys. So I think history is on my side with that too. So I have no doubts whatsoever. But let's look briefly. Like, obviously, someone, as I touched on at the start, you have had such an incredible career, both as an artist, as a producer. Your fingerprint is on so much amazing music. But I would actually love to know what we might catch you listening to in your quote unquote downtime away from your own creative pursuits. Like, what are you actually vibing on? Is there any bands we can reveal to get a bit of an insight into your listening habits currently?
I just heard on the drive back from the studio a new track by Big Thief. I'm a huge fan of them. I can't remember the name of the song because I just heard it in the car, but they have an upcoming album coming out, and I loved
Yes.
it. Um, uh, yeah, there's so much. Well, okay. So I was listening today to Starcrawler, who are opening for us on the North American tour, and they are a kick-ass band. If you haven't seen them live, they are
Love
gonna
it.
put the hammer down. It's gonna put a fire under garbage. We can't go out there and just walk on stage and pretend that we're gonna wow the audience after with them going on before us. They're going to up the ante. Let me just
Mm-hmm.
say that.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I listen to so much music. My daughter Bo, who's 19, plays a lot of music to me. And she loves singer-songwriters. She loves weird orchestral music, and she's also listening to obscure songs from the 60s and 70s that I never heard before. Um, so it's kind of cool to hear it with a fresh voice.
Mm.
I just heard I think there's a Radiohead record that just came out, a live album that's just
Yes.
coming out. I heard a track on that sounded really good. There's a band called Smerts, SMERZ, who I like, Young Fathers. Um, God, yes. Ethel Cain. There's a couple tracks by Ethel Cain that I love. Um, oh my God, yeah. I'm a big fan of Cigarettes After Sex. I think there's a new track that came out by them. Garbage played with them. They opened for us on a tour years ago. And if you know them, it's super chill out music. Like if you just want to come home and just like go, let's just slow everything down. They're beautiful songs and really fun. Um, God, I'm so much music. There's so much music.
Yeah, but it's so
I'm a
exciting that you're still actively like listening and wanting stuff, and that's obviously bleeds out into your creativity as well because you don't stagnate and that it shows in what your output is. So I really, really like that.
well, I listen to a lot of new music because I'm curious as a music producer, and I'm always interested in what the new generation is doing in terms of arrangements and sonic production and stuff. And it's good for me to hear. It just
Definitely.
like sort of charges my brain and makes me think, I wish I would have thought of that. So it's good. I'm just a curious person. So
Mm.
I listen to a lot of new music.
Yeah, amazing. I can relate to the curiosity, and I think it's a very, very positive thing. But to bring us to a close today, because you're a busy man, Garbage and yourself personally are, of course, no strangers to festivals, and there will be some familiar faces and potentially some new friends as well at Good Things Festival this year. Whose set are you most keen to catch, and who are you most keen to hang out with when you're here?
Okay, well, there's a lot of great bands on the bill. It's a super great alternative rock show. I'm kind of psyched to see Refused because they're one of those bands that influenced so many punk bands and prog bands. I produced this band AFI years ago, and Refused was one of their biggest influences. Before I did their album Sing the Sorrow, they're like, BV, you have to listen to Refused. Just listen to Refused, and you'll get where we're coming from. I'm like, okay, cool. And of course, AFI are amazing. They do their own thing. Incredible band.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a lot of great bands. I'm a huge fan of Weezer. Um, Garbage has played a bunch of festivals and shows with Weezer in the past, and I mean their set list, every song is a hit.
Yes.
They've had like 30 alternative hits over the last 25 years or something. I don't know how long they've been around. Maybe they've probably been around as long as Garbage, and they sound fantastic. I'm also a fan of Tool, and I know Maynard likes to drink wine, so I'm going to track him down backstage and see if he can pull out some really good wine. That's my goal backstage at the festival.
I like this. This feels achievable, and I think we'll all know where to find you at least as well. So we'll never have to worry if we need you. I love this.
Yeah, right on.
Amazing. Well, as someone who used to start listening to Garbage on the radio as a teenager and still get songs stuck in my head routinely in the present day, not unhappy about that fact, might I add. But I know I'm definitely not the only one extremely excited to have Garbage back here in Australia later this year. Thank you for your time, Butch, and we'll see you at Good Things in December.
And thank you to all our Australian fans. We are really looking forward to come down there and play. We'll see you in December.
Yay, can't wait.